Have we learned nothing from science fiction movies? Sure, it's all fun and games doing artwork with artificial intelligence until they take over the world. All right, I'm finally getting the chance to play with some of this AI, artificial intelligence art generation. And so I thought I'd do a video and do a quick comparison between three of the more popular AI art generators, and in particular with how to use it for projection mapping. So we're going to kind of look at a couple different use cases. One is to generate just one single picture of a facade that we could throw on the house, and we'll actually run it on the house tonight so you can see how it looks, as well as maybe some of the individual assets that you use in projection mapping, like windows or doors or a brick texture or something like that. So the three tools we're going to look at, probably the most popular one is Midjourney. And then we're also going to look at dall-e, which I think are both under the same OpenAI umbrella. And then this third one is Crayon with AI in the word crayon. Very clever. And there's kind of pros and cons to both, or to all three. The dall-e and the Crayon one, the nice thing is you don't need to install anything. You just go to the website and you can just start using it. Midjourney has a little bit more setup. You have to download the Discord app and connect to their server, their bot, so that you can start creating things. And I think, as you see, though, the Midjourney tends to get much cooler looking outcomes, but sometimes a little too cool. Sometimes we want something a little bit simpler. So let's look. I think what we'll do is do 2 or 3 different use cases for projection mapping in all 3, and we'll just compare side by side. Okay. And you can kind of see some of the ones I was doing with Midjourney earlier this week. And some of these are the ones I'm actually going to throw on the house a little bit later. I was trying some pumpkin facades and I was trying some Nightmare Before Christmas facades. So we'll put that on the house so we can see how it looks. But let's create some new ones here. I'll scroll down to the bottom. Now with Midjourney, you download, as I said, Discord. And once it's connected to the bot, then use the keyword imagine, and then you type in the phrases of what you want. So let's do something simple. Let's do spooky Halloween house. And I'm going to copy and paste this and try it on all 3 platforms. I'll throw it in dall-e, and also going to throw it in Crayon. And we'll see what they give us. All right, let's compare each of the results. So dall-e first. Yeah, spooky Halloween house. I've kind of noticed that with dall-e, it interprets things a little differently. Like this one, it just mostly did houses with Halloween decorations. I noticed it did the same thing when I asked it to do like a Halloween door. It really just did a door decorated with Halloween decorations. Crayon, I think, is going to be pretty similar, but a little bit, no, it's a little bit better. It's more than just a house with Halloween decorations. It's got kind of a certain look and feel. And now with AI, you will get some weird results. Like these pumpkins don't actually look like pumpkins. So you have to kind of play with it a little bit. And then here is Midjourney's. So in terms of which one looks best, Midjourney's the clear winner. Now one asterisk, one caveat with all of this is I'm brand new at this. There's an art and a science to the phrases that you put in there so that you can get the results that you want. And I'm just now learning that there's parameters that you can add to help control the outcome. And actually, each time you put in a phrase, even if it's the same phrase, you'll get different results. So if you don't like this one, you can run it again. Also within Midjourney, if you like one of these, you can use these U1 through 4 to upscale it to higher resolution so that you can save it out. And if you like one of them but want to see some slightly different versions of it, then you can hit one of these V buttons and it'll do a variation. So like if I liked this one, I could upscale U1, or I could do different variations of that one. And so for projection mapping, any one of these could be put on a nice flat surface on the house. especially this one because it's facing us pretty square. It's not at an angle, but it'd be less customizable. We wouldn't be able to map it per se. We would just be throwing it on the house. And so while this tends to get really good results and better results, it can be a little tricky getting to make sure that it faces you and that it has the flexibility enough that you can actually map it to the different facets of your house. So kind of pick your poison. Um, but yeah, like if I'm doing just an entire facade generated by AI, I don't think I would use dall-e or crayon. I don't think it's getting as good of results. Now, let's say though I wanted to do some of the individual parts of a haunted house so that I could do the mapping myself. Here's an example of one I did a few minutes ago in Midjourney. And so let's put that one in the other tools and see what they get. And a really simple phrase, I just put old dilapidated window to see what it would come up with. Let's try that over here. All right, now that those have run, as usual, Midjourney is the more artistic, the more elaborate, more cool looking. Crayon are pretty run-of-the-mill windows, but I guess I didn't really tell it to do anything more than that. These are old dilapidated windows. And similarly with dall-e, the one thing I'll say about the dall-e ones though is in terms of flexibility for mapping and adding what I want to the effect, then I might prefer these to the Midjourney. I can mask them out. They're not all of them, but they're mostly square, so it'd be easier to corner pin. And then I could add my own things in these broken panes of glass, and I could add my own shutters. So I like for an individual asset, I might like this because it gives me maximum flexibility. But if I just really like how it looks, then I can certainly mask these out too and use them. Let's try a door. All right, Halloween door. I'm gonna keep it really simple. And I almost forgot I got to do the imagine prompt in Midjourney for that to work. And then we'll do Halloween door in here too. And crown. Okay, Halloween door. Crayon. Nah, I'm not digging that at all. Now, I'm sure if I get better phrasing, I can control the outcome more, but no, I'm not into those. dall-e, same thing. It's a door with Halloween decorations. I probably just need to be more specific. And then Midjourney, being all artistic and cool, did some fantastic looking doors. I could probably just mask these out and throw them on my door and have an instantly cool door. So I'm going to go ahead and upscale these two bottom ones. And I'm going to use those later. Okay. Let's do one more test though. Let's now try just a flat texture like a brick or a wood that we can put on the house, corner pin to the house, so that we can start doing some augmented reality, trying to make our house look like something else. So it's more than just treating our house as a projection screen with a facade projected on it, but to make it look like the house itself has changed. So let's see. Imagine we'll do a brick wall. And I haven't played with some of this stuff, but let's see if it can make it tileable. I want to view it straight on so it doesn't skew it. And let's just try that. Okay. So I have scaled those doors. They're ready to go now. Those look really cool. And here is our wall. Midjourney does a elaborate, cool, artistic view, but even with the straight on, now I'm getting these angles. These ones would be more difficult to work with for projection mapping. This one might work. This one might tile. I'm going to upscale that one and I'll try it in After Effects later. And I think I'll do some variations on that one, see if I can get that one to work. So it looks better, but maybe harder to corner pin and tile. Crayon. It's overly simplistic, but it's actually more what I probably want because it is more tileable and straight on and basic, so I can add the details later. And dall-e, same thing, but a little bit better quality than the crown ones. These are all ones I could throw in After Effects and use the reptile effect. to create an entire wall of brick and corner pin it to my house. So kind of where I'm starting to drift is if I want the complexity, if I want elaborate, if I want a lot of detail and artistry, then I go to Midjourney. But if I want more flexibility and I want it simple so that I can add my own effects, especially on those wall textures, then I'm starting to use dall-e more and more. And I'll show you kind of how that looks in After Effects. Now, this is actually how I'm working on a Nightmare Before Christmas show. And that's actually how I created this wall here. I made a rock wall tile in dall-e, and then I repatiled it. I changed the color around. In fact, it changes colors as it goes through the course of the show here. And then I added like a warp effect and some things like that. So this one was done with dall-e, and that gave me the flexibility that I want. But I'll admit, even though I pieced this together, it still doesn't look as cool as if I'd done the facade in Midjourney. It's just you lose the flexibility of mapping it to the actual features of your house. Okay, well let's throw some of these into our snapshot in After Effects, and then we'll test it out. And then for the ones where we wanted to do the full size facade, here's some of the ones that I downloaded. So let's try a few of these on the house. There's this one, which is just weird. I don't know if I'd actually put that in the show, but I like it still. So threw that on the house. And I actually bumped up the saturation on it too. So it's a little bit muted at first. And so I bumped up saturation so we can see it on the house. Let's throw a couple of these others in too. In fact, if I got time tonight, if it's not too cold, I want to check out all these. All right, maybe I'll leave it up for 15-ish seconds for each one, and then I'll switch it. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of throw these. And what this process looks like at this point is I'm just going to put it in here, roughly fit it to the house. I'm using the back of my house because it's a little easier to do this with. My front one would be more difficult. We can do a corner pin to fine tune it just a little. Oops. Make it fit the space as close as we can. And I'm going to keep up the saturation on that one too, so it'll show up good. And I will just add a few of these, and tonight we'll see how they look. These look fantastic for some minimal effort. I knew I'd need to fill in something on the rest of the house, but that looks really cool. That one is funky. Go with the real moon.